So it may be of interest to some viewers how this project turned out, the Gilbert long drop octagon clock, and what the running time was. And the answer is 10.5 days. From full winding to when it stopped, it ran 10.5 days. Not impressive record by any means, but you know, it's pretty decent. I think it could have been better, and there's probably a few things that probably could go into that to make it get better, but I'm quite satisfied with the results. And other than putting the dial back on, I believe this clock is finished. I've been running it quite a bit and have not really had any trouble with it. The regulation hasn't been too bad on it. It's certainly better than a Gilbert mantle clock with its rather poor regulator setup. And getting a little bit of glare there from the 1940s schoolhouse light fixture that's on the ceiling there, but there we go. So it's been a good clock. I need to put the dial back on, and I need to look for the correct bezel to go on this. This is the wrong bezel. I'm not sure where it came from, but the bezel should fit more like the bezel on one of these clocks fits, where there is a little wooden piece on the back side that forms a latch, and then there's the slot there that this goes to, and you see on this one it more or less goes straight into the case. And the same thing with this one here. It goes straight into the case and comes all the way out to the edge of the dial also. You can clearly see on this one here that it's been modified to fit, and it doesn't interact with the latch on the back either. So the bezel is too small in diameter, and it's more obvious when the dial is on. It does not sit on the dial correctly. As common as these clocks are, though, I should have only moderate difficulty in finding an original Gilbert bezel. And for a clock that's got a case as nice as this one is, I think it's worth it. The wood is in really nice shape, very nice oak, still has a nice golden color to it. It isn't, you know, dark like you sometimes see them. And for that matter too, I'll try to keep an eye out for another original dial that's in good condition too, although, you know, I'm not too opposed to just running it with the dial that it's got on it, but I do want to find the correct bezel to go on it, so that will be a long-term project. But to get back to the clock, though, the project, it is done, and it has been running pretty good. Like I said, 10.5 days has been the run time. Well, with that said, with the end of that project, and with the Takeda clock project coming to a close, it's time to set our sights on the next clock to be redone. And I think one of the candidates is on this wall. Is it this one? Is it this one? I think it's going to be this one. This New Haven time-only timepiece, because it's not really a clock, it's a timepiece, with a calendar attachment. And very interestingly, both of the long drop octagon clocks that are hanging on this wall, I purchased from the friend that owns the short drop Japanese made octagon clock that I've been repairing in the Takeda clock repair series. These clocks belonged to her late husband, and she's downsized quite a bit now. And so I was very glad to buy both of these, keep them together, and let them join company with another clock that I already had that matches them as far as style and the overall condition quite nicely. This one has an E and J S dial on it. E and J, I think it's Swigert Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. They were clock material jobbers. Sold clock repair parts to a variety of concerns, and it's very often to see their dials on older clocks, replacement dials, and they'll have that logo. And it's rather humorous on eBay, the number of sellers you'll see that will really don't know what this means, and will see that S and say, oh, that's the Seth Thomas, or the E, that's an Ingram, or they'll just make something up about it. But nope, anytime you see this symbol, that's a replacement dial. So anyway, this clock is a candidate for a future video series at some point. Maybe not the next one, but definitely one in the future. We also have this clock as a candidate for a future video series. It's one that does need some help. The clock in the other room with the replacement dial, I bought that clock at the antique mall. I bought this clock from that same dealer at the antique mall. It was in one of their other booths. They've got 2 booths at the antique mall. And very humorously, on the short drop Octagon clock, they wrote, runs for 7 days, therefore it's a 7-day clock. Well, they wrote on the little tag that was on this clock that it ran for 10 days, so it's a 10-day clock. I haven't been able to get it to run for more than about 4 days. And you can see the very short motion that the pendulum makes there. It's a Welsh. It'll be very interesting to look at this clock, take it apart, look at the movement, and see the similarities between this clock and a Sessions movement, because when Welsh went bankrupt, I want to say it was sometime between about 1903 and 1905, Bill Sessions bought the Welsh factory, the tooling, even hired on a lot of the employees, kept them on, and kept the company going as the Sessions Clock Company. But this is a nice gingerbread clock here, wall clock, that will make a nice project for a future video. It's in decent condition. It even has a very Sessions looking style alarm, or I should say Sessions clocks have nice Welsh style alarms on them. But anyway. And I think that pendulum needs a coat of gold paint on it too. It seems to have lost whatever it would have had on it at one time to make it match the rest of the finish. Also, this door catch here isn't quite right. It shouldn't be such a difficult operation to operate the latch. So anyway, this video's gone on too long. I'm gonna cut it off. This is Oklahoma Bridges, and Thank you for following along, and thanks for watching. Bye.